Good morning. I am finally, not we, well, we are, I mean, you and I are finally getting around to harvesting the worm in and the flow through. You'll need a few things first, some tools and some parts to harvest the worm in. Only three things, maybe a flashlight. But let's take a look. I moved the desktop out of the way so I have room back there, and should be a good day. Lots of casting should be coming out of both of the bins. So obviously you need a bucket to catch the castings as they fall out of the bottom of the worm in. Any bucket, you know, this is a 5 gallon. No, it's either 5 or 10. It's a 5 gallon bucket. It's deep enough so it'll catch the castings as it falls out the bottom of the worm in. And a good tool, or a tool to use, is a 3-pronged fork. That will scrape out the castings out of the bottom. And this has a long handle compared to most, so that helps out with your reach up in there, and you know, a grasp on the tool, so you know it's not a small handle, it's, you know, a decent size. And you'll need a big bag. Now you're probably trying to figure out, what do I need a big bag for? Well, you're going to have your hand up there with castings falling out, and the bag will let your arm not get dirty. You're going to have almost your whole arm up in there, and this is a big 55 gallon bag, and it's long enough to put my whole arm in it, and my hand and arm won't get dirty when it's up in there. So let's go have a look underneath and open up the worm in. So down on the bottom of the worm in, there is a latch of rope that comes with it, and it has two toggles on it. And basically I just tied this once, and you have to untie it and then open up the bottom area here, and the casting should fall. I can't really show you how, you know, to scrape it out, but you basically just go up in there and you know, like you're scraping a bowl out. Once you get the castings, and if you start to get you know, bedding and stuff, bedding, worms or anything, then you stop, close it back up, and then wait till the next harvest. But this has probably been since I did it at June, and then probably a few months before, so let's say about 8 months this has been working. Okay, as you can see, I undid the toggles, took away the rope around, and about to harvest. So I'll just go in there and scrape it, and the castings will fall right in the bucket. Then after you're done, you want to put your toggles all the way up and close it, and then give it one tie off, and that will keep the castings from falling out till the next time you harvest it. Let's have a look at what castings came out, and I'll show you how great they look. And right off the bat, I wanted to show you, that's a pumpkin seed, that's a piece of plastic, and that little triangle is another piece of plastic. If there's any type of tape or plastic in here, the worms will eat right around it. That was probably attached to a box of something or a piece of cardboard. And you know, once you harvest it, you just take all that out. The pumpkin seed was probably from the pumpkin that I fed them last year. And it still has, you know, chunks in here. Some, you know, piece of cardboard right there. You know, not all of it's broken down, and all of this stuff that hasn't been broken down, that'll go back through it again, and the worms will process that. There's some dry stuff in here. Another piece of plastic right there. So really nice castings that came out of this, actually, compared to what it's dry. I should have wet the bin down and had it a lot moist compared to what it was, but the stuff isn't bad. The stuff is really nice toward the bottom of where it first came out. These are just the chunks that were up toward the top that haven't, it still has worms in it. I was finding worms in these chunks. So what I'll do is the top half of this, probably, or the top quarter, all these chunks and stuff will go back in, and then the rest of the stuff will go into a harvest bin, which I'll keep the castings and I'll keep them wet to use, you know, till I use it. The worms will still be surviving in it, and I'll give it some coffee grounds, so they'll have something to eat till I use them for my my pots and, you know, my plants to put them in, and outside here in the yard when I start planting, when it warms up enough. But yeah, that's a look at the bucket of what it looks like, what it came out, and what you know, I'll do with the chunks and everything. Next up is harvesting the flow through. So what I'll do with this is give it a visual inspection, because I know my food and some castings and stuff are still up on top. See what food it has, which it has a little bit of lettuce still there, but that's fine. It's really dry because I've just been feeding it lettuce and trimmings. So right here it's a little bit moist up on top, but what I'll do now is just have all this newspaper here, and I'll probably just put the chunks that was in the bucket underneath the newspaper and keep the newspaper on top for now. Eventually I'll incorporate the newspaper into the bedding as it wets down and stuff toward the bottom, and keep the dry stuff on top. And so the worms will work out those chunks as they climb up to the top, and then the castings will go down bottom like the flow through. Should work. And the newspaper on top will give them some darkness, and it will keep out the smell, if there's any smells. I mean, usually there isn't, but with lettuce trimmings or green vegetables, there are smell when they decay. And you put the newspaper on top and you won't even smell it. And this is in my bedroom, for those that are new watching. The worm is in my bedroom, and if I was going to notice any smells right away, I would. And that's why I put the newspaper on top, is to filter out the smell. So let me dump this, and we'll get harvesting the flow through. That's about it for the worm in. I'll feed it some more coffee grounds, just coffee grounds. I'm not going to give it any bananas, I don't think, with this. And if I get more trimmings, you know, green trimmings, I'll do that, but I want to just basically put coffee grounds in through this, and it needs a good soaking too. So let me get to that, and we'll get to the flow through here in a few. Well, I did end up using the newspaper that was in the top of the worm bin for bedding. I figured it was there. It was a little bit moist on the bottom of the newspaper. I just pressed it down a little bit and covered it all with coffee grounds, and then added another bunch of shredded newspaper on top. So that'll filter out the smell of the coffee grounds. So let's get to harvesting the flow through. I'll show you first of what I do to prep it, because you don't stick your hand in it right away. If you do, you might not live another day. So one of the tools I use is this LED flashlight, so I can see what I'm doing down there. It has 3 settings, but that doesn't matter. All you need is some light to be able to see, you know, the castings and what you're doing, and to do a thorough search first, because you might find black widows, which I have. The last time I harvested, I found 1 black widow in there, and you don't really want to get bit by one. I don't know if it's fatal. It could be, they say. So I usually do a sweep of with a mirror. I just use a little pocket-sized mirror that I found somewhere. I used to use this geocaching. You can, you know, look up at the PVC pipe. I had to think there a minute of what goes on. You can see what castings are falling out, and you can see spiders too. So that's what I use, is just a little pocket mirror I found. Works great. You shine the light up, and then you know, you look like this way underneath toward it. So let's have a look underneath. Oh, and I use a dustpan. Hold on. And I got this at the dollar store for a couple bucks. Has a rubber edge to it, which is nice just to scoop up. The brush to scoop up, you know, sweep up the castings that are outside of the flow through. I've got a piece of cardboard, you know, underneath the flow through, so it catches all the castings. And this scoops it up really nice. It, you know, it does a good job. And it wasn't too expensive, and it's just wide enough to fit in there, and you know, get your arm around in there. So let's have a look at the bottom of the flow through. And as you can see, some castings are falling out outside of it, which is fine. But look at how packed this thing is. Yeah, there's spider webs down there too. It's at least a few inches of castings. And you and I are looking at it the first time. Not sure what that is. Maybe newspaper. I'm looking through the viewfinder as you are, so once I get down in there, but yeah, I want to take a look, see if there's any, well, there's spider webs there, but just to make sure there's no black widows. But that's a lot of castings in there, and some bedding, which falls down at the bottom. So let me get to it. All I do is start from there, and then work my way back, scooping all that out into a bucket. That's how easy it is. And the castings are all nice, except for a couple pieces of paper or bedding there, whatever it is. So let me do a scoop, or a sweep. Yeah, a sweep of the spiders first, and then scoop it all out. So just by feel, because I can't really see what I'm doing down here of the way it's situated, pretty much I got most of it. There might be a little bit right there, but yeah, it probably a couple gallons worth of castings came out. I still had room in the bucket from the other worm in, and I'll have to clean this up too a little bit and replace this cardboard. This is where the computer sits on this cardboard, so I'll replace that, or I'll just flip it over. And yeah, came out nice castings. That's what came out the bottom. Lots of worms. Oh, must be at least 1.5 pounds, maybe 2 pounds of worms that came out of this. Well, I might have to light harvest it so I don't lose those worms when I put them out in the buckets and, well, in the pots when I make up a mix or anything. Or just put a light and they'll go down toward the bottom. But real nice castings that came out of the bottom of the flow through. I'm happy with it. There's a worm right there, just chilling. Okay, that's it for the harvesting. Just a cleanup I have to do, and wash my hands. They're full of worm castings. So hopefully, I don't know what's going on with my hair. I'm working. I've been working on this. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Oh, let's look in the flow through before I say goodbye to you. I forgot to do that. I put some of the bedding and worms back in the top. But, you know, let's have a look to see the progress of how it's looking in there. So, right here, this clump here came out of the bottom. And there's some paper, newspaper, and other things that have been fed. I'm going to feed this banana peels and coffee grounds today. I'm going to try not to give it as much bedding. Some bedding. I want to eventually take this flow through and move it into the living room so I can harvest it easier than what it is now. I've got more room to work out there instead of the tight quarters I have. So I'm just going to feed this today, and that's it. Yeah, it's looking good. It's, you know, working its way down. Remember, it was all the way up to the top with bedding, which that's about the top right there or more. And it's all compacted down, so it's about half of the bin right now of what it was. Plus it's dropped out the bottom too, you know, a few inches. So, and there's some worms right there chilling. They're waiting for food, so let me feed them and say goodbye to you. So goodbye. No, thanks for watching. If you're new, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed it, if you learned something from it. That's why I try to, you know, do these videos every now and then, is to at least teach you of what I know and what I've learned, you know. And then, you know, you can take that and, you know, try it and maybe improve on it. And if you improve something, tell me about it. You know, I'm always learning. You know, if you saw my previous video I've done, no one is an expert on anything, but we're always learning new things. And you know, I always like to learn. I always read stuff online all the time, watch videos, countless videos of things happening. So thanks for watching, and have a good day.